How good could Suryavanshi be? Will he play Test cricket? Will he play for India? Or is he going to be one of those questions that we're asked in 10 years' time and we'll all struggle for the answer? Who hit his first ball in the IPL for 6, blah, 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 14-year-old, hundreds, all that kind of stuff. Where's he going to be?
I think he probably plays for India because even if he fails to keep going at the level he's going at, the power that he has is going to hit. He's going to hit some big innings, and because of that, they'll probably try him at one stage. Like Deepak Huda played for India, right? Like he's obviously a much more naturally talented player than someone like Deepak Huda. So there's still a chance to come through the system. He's got a really weird technique, the way he holds the bat. So first class cricket, I just need to see it work, like we did with Steve Smith, just because it looks so bizarre. At the moment, the minute you bowl wide to him, he kind of falls away a little bit to the right-hand side because he's trying to whack everything. So again, how does that work in first-class cricket? Is he nicking off a lot? Because he kept getting top edges over the top of short third and everything, even in the innings where he was incredible. Look, he is an incredibly gifted young player. There's no doubt about it. He's very big physically. He hits the ball really hard. It really only gets harder from here over the next little while. I looked at all the players in international cricket who'd made 1,000 runs before they became a teenager. It's incredible how many of those players just don't go anywhere. They don't make it.
Give us some names.
So Mohammad Ashraful is probably one of the most famous ones. Made the 100 against Australia when he was still a teenager.
Yeah.
So there's this whole list. There's a whole list of those sorts of players where you're just like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. But there is within that Sachin Tendulkar, Tamim Iqbal, who I think you'd have to say is a success.
Yeah.
Javed Miandad's in that list. But some of the other guys you wouldn't even know. Like they're not even names that have gone on to be remembered. And so it's not as if you're good enough at 15 or 16 and then therefore you're going to be a great player at 26, 27. We know that professional sport doesn't work that way. There was a guy wicket kept for Yorkshire when he was 15. And I think when he was 20 or 21, he was managing a Tiger, nightclub, right? Like things can go very, very different as you come through. And the professionalism, the big thing is at the moment, no one knows where to bowl to this kid. He's got a great eye, and he there was times I went back and I watched every single ball of that innings. I've watched it about 4 times. There's so many times where I reckon a professional player Bumble would have just been like, ooh, I've gotten away with a couple here. I'll just knock a few and then I'll wait for a ball in my area. He just keeps going like a kid. There's no professional thinking in his batting at the moment. And if you think of who's the last young player to do that, was Shahid Afridi, right? Well, Shahid Afridi had a great career. I wouldn't say he had a great batting career though, did he? Because he never quite understood that sometimes you have to put the foot down and sometimes you don't. That's where, Vaibhav is at the moment. He's in this weird area where we're trying to work out where he's going to come across. But regardless of that, you don't see many teenagers who can hit the ball like this ever in the history of the game.
What's his background? I mean, as to where's he from in India, his education, his lifestyle,
Well,
his
I don't think he's
nutrition.
finished his education.
Well, I mean...
Yeah, is he still at school? He must be.
I think they get mentors, I think, at a certain stage, because he started playing first class cricket really young as well. It's not like this is the first time he's exploded onto a scene. He comes from a smaller village.
So how's he going first class cricket in red ball cricket? How does he go in that?
He's been okay at the moment, but it's it's very, very, as I said, this is all really early on. When Royals got him, they wanted to play him for 2 games this year to see where he was at. They wanted to play him at the end of the year, I think, when the pressure was off a little bit more, maybe bat him in the middle order. But I don't know how much of the IPL you've been watching, Bumble. They didn't have a choice. They were playing so bad, they had to throw him in there. And I think he's exploded a little bit more. If you look at, we know some of the people that work for the Royals, Rahul Dravid, Kumar Sangakkara. These are 2 very respected adults in the room, right? They're obviously seeing something within this kid that is a sense of maturity. My worry was when he made the 30-odd in the first game, he was crying on the way off. I'm like, I feel like emotionally this is going to be such a roller coaster for him. Obviously, he then smashes 100, and so he has a different kind of emotion in the next one. But you look at him, he doesn't look like a professional athlete at the moment. He looks like a really big kid.
Well, you're dealing with a child.
Yep.
In a man's game,
correct,
with these people that you mentioned, Dravid and Sangakkara, how do they look after him emotionally?
Welfare.
Yeah, the welfare of the child when he doesn't do well. And, we what we say, when you're growing up, you win some, you lose some, that's the way it is. Get ready for your next innings, keep your emotions on a level playing field. But the power that he's got as a 14-year-old, I've been involved in all sorts of 14 and 15-year-olds, going back to Flintoff and Truskothic and McGrath, Vikram Solanki, didn't have that power.
Yeah.
So I'd wanted to strip it back as to where does he come from, what part of India, what's his lifestyle, what's his nutrition.
Yeah.
To have that power, it's his first ball for 6. He gets 100 in no time.
Yeah.
Against grown men. Where does he get the power?
He's got that thing where I'm trying to think if there's been another cricketer that's looked like this, but he looks farm strong, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? There's Luhan Pretorius, who's the teenager from South Africa. They both look the same. They both look really young in the face, big puffy cheeks, and they don't look like, strong athletes. Like, they don't look like Faf du Plessis or anyone like that, but they look farm strong. Right, but the difference is, do you remember that clip? I think you guys did it on Sky, which was the hitting competition between Butler and Flintoff, when Butler was hitting the ball 30 meters past where Flintoff was. The difference is, you watch Vaibhav, and as I said, he's got this weird grip as well, but it's all about clearing the front leg as far as possible, getting a power base and swinging through the line. The guys you were working with were big, strong guys, as you said, but they were trying to get the front elbow up and hit through the line. So there's a difference in unlocking the power a little bit as well.
In sort of working on technique, equipment comes into it, but more so technique, I think. And then it's a eye-catching century in a T20 limited over. You're really fast-tracking if you say, can he play Test cricket?
Yeah.
Well, let's see how he goes. It'd be so exciting for the game if he did. Because he's now got to handle fame.
Yes.
Because everybody will want a piece. Everybody in the world, in the cricketing world, will want a piece of a child. And so the mentoring and the welfare of that child is so important.
Yeah, and these days you don't get long before people work out where to bowl to you and everything else. And so at the moment, he's the hero. He's potentially the next Sachin. In 4 years' time, is he the guy that everyone makes fun of because he slogged and got away with a couple? Do you know what I mean? And it can, unfortunately, you watch, the cricket, and I don't know if you guys saw the stuff between the RCB and CSK fans last week. It's a little bit more like football sort of stuff, outside the ground and everything as well. Like these fans are getting really passionate, and what that means that everyone is a whipping boy. There's all these different memes about how Mohammad Shami is a failure now. Mohammad Shami just won them a World Cup not that long ago, right? And now he hasn't had a good IPL season and he's a failure. Like, it goes really quickly. So how's it going to go for a kid who's not ready for it?
Sarfraz Khan, he was in a similar situation, wasn't he?
He's gone up and down in his career. So Prithvi Shaw is another one, right? Prithvi Shaw at a similar age, maybe 15, 16, everyone thought was going to be the next Sachin Tendulkar. He's not in the IPL at the moment, right? And a lot of that is down to him being very famous at a young age and not being able to handle the fame. Prithvi Shaw's still a brilliant player of a cricket ball. He's got issues with fitness. He's got issues with his attitude. He's got issues with fame. But he's still a great striker of the ball. He's not playing.
It's so disappointing, isn't it, that if you've got problems with fitness and attitude, your bosses, your coaches, your captain, your teammates will just say, no thanks.
You would have coached against Vinod Kambli.
Do you know, I don't think I did.
He was around your era, though.
He was round about that time, and he, I would say, I don't know, lifestyle, I don't know.
And he's, he went back, and there's this thought.
But is he happy?
Do you remember Vinod Kambli at all?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I was actually going to mention.
They came together in those big partnerships when they were kids.
Yeah, he actually started his career.
Made a lot of runs, and then disappeared. We can go to more recent versions, would be Jake Fraser-McGurk, Matt Renshaw, right? Those are two young players who came into teams. Matt Renshaw was like a bit like these other teenagers. Matt Renshaw looked like a big country kid who was confused by everything, but obviously, very good technique, very good eye. Then teams worked out how to bowl to him, and Matt Renshaw hasn't really made it back to the Australian team full-time since. Jake Fraser-McGurk had one of the most exciting IPLs ever last year. This year, it looks like he can't find a run. And in fact, since that IPL, whether it be for Australia or everyone else, he struggled to get a run. Just being good in one season isn't what a professional is. And so he has the talent to be a top-level international cricketer. Does he have everything else? We have no idea, right? We don't know. He doesn't know who he is as a person yet, right? He's still a kid.